Okay, in this video we're going to build more upon if statements. So far in the previous videos we covered if statements, we covered if else statements. Today we're going to cover if ElseIf statements. So let's see the way these work. Let's come up with this scenario. I'm going to ask the user their age, right? And then I'm going to tell them if they're older than 16, I'm going to say you can drive. If they're older than 21, I'm going to say you're able to, drive and buy alcohol, for instance. Otherwise, they're not old enough to do anything. So let's set up some constants so our code looks nicer. So I'll say driving age equals 16 and the drinking age equals 21. I'm not trying to condone this, but let's just use these as references. Okay, so now let's ask the user a question. System.out.println, please enter your age. And then we will read that into the variable age. Age equals in.next int because age is an integer. So first I'm going to see if they're old enough over 21, because if they're over 21, they're able to drink and they're able to drive, and not at the same time, but they're able to do both. So I'm going to say if the age is greater than or equal to the drink age, then I'm going to print a message out. System.out.println, you are old enough to drive and to drink, but not at the same time, right? Okay. And next, I'm going to now say, now if I just said else here, that wouldn't tell me if they're old enough to drive, right? That would just say you're not over 21. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write else if the age is greater than or equal to 16, not 16, to drive age. Then I'm going to tell them that you are old enough to drive, right? And otherwise, oops, that's supposed to say system. Okay, otherwise, otherwise, we'll tell them system.out.println, you are not old enough to do anything, right? Okay, which isn't true. You can still do some things. Okay, so let's see the way this code works, right? It's going to ask them to enter their age, store the age in the variable age, and then the first check is going to say, is their age greater than or equal to this 21? If so, then they're old enough to drive and to drink. If this is not true, then it's going to come to this next conditional, and it's going to say, is the age greater than or equal to the 16? If it is, it's going to print this out, okay? If this is not true, then it's going to drop here. So once one of these conditions is true, it does not go into the other conditions, right? So if age is greater than or equal to drink age, it's going to do this one line and then end. It's going to skip the whole rest of those lines down there, right? Okay, so let's see if this code works, right? So I'm going to run this. Now, if my age is 25, then I'm old enough to do both, right? If my age is, for instance, 20, then I'm only old enough to drive, right? If my age is not even 16, if it's 15, I'm not old enough to do anything, right? So this is the way an if, ElseIf, else works, right? And you can couple these. You can go even further than these, right? I could have another one, final int, let's call it elementary school age, and we'll call that 6 years old, right? So I could say here, I could have another else if age is greater than or equal to elementary school age. Then I could say system.out.println, you are old enough to go to elementary school, right? So the point I'm trying to make is you can have as many else ifs as you want, right? And then you almost always want to capture the remaining else with some kind of message, right? Okay, so let's run this now, right? So now let's enter an age that's not 16, like 15. Okay, now it says you're old enough to go to elementary school. And if I typed an age lower than 6, like 5, then you're not old enough to do anything. So this is the structure of an if-else-if statement. Very useful. If you want to do more than one thing for each condition, you just put brackets there and there, right? So now it's going to do everything between those brackets. So I can put multiple lines of code in here, right? I can put another system.out.println line. But if you're only going to do one thing after a condition, then typically people will not put brackets. But it is not wrong to put the brackets, even if you have one thing. But I would just try to be consistent in that manner. Either put the brackets or don't put the brackets.